people would know that. But anyways, we got Eric over here
again,
and we got two new guests. We have Jen.
What's up?
That's
all I've got.
What's up? And then we got Diego over here as well.
Hi guys.
So Diego's usually our hype man who just after that.
We wasted the good support from you.
No, we're good.
No.
We should.
No,
okay.
as soon as that audio came, you unplugged it and it's all useless now.
we can start again. Get a good intro.
Yay! I'm gonna eat another
Jen
piece of
can
pizza.
think of something other than sup.
No, I don't think so. That's all I've got.
Eric, I got regular pepperoni for you. Because you said, get regular pepperoni.
Yeah, eat it.
I just
What are you
said
trying to lose
myself.
weight
I
for
just
the
said
wedding?
regular pepperoni was good. I was weirded out that you were hating on regular pepperoni from Domino's.
You were hating on it?
I'm gonna take regular pepperoni then. Oh. By the way, we're going again.
What the fuck?
Nice.
We're going?
You're the worst.
Surprise!
Are we actually going? Do I have to look at stuff?
We've been going on YouTube forever.
Are you kidding me? Okay, whatever. Okay.
So this whole thing's been.
So this whole thing's bamboozled by Diego.
You're welcome.
But he's so cute, though.
He is a panda bear. But anyways, he's a Mexican panda bear.
Do we really have to point that out?
I did.
I'm Venezuelan. I'm only half too.
Okay. Anyways, welcome to the Grizzly Idiot podcast this week. I don't know if you heard it before, but like I said, my name's Harrison. We got Eric again, Diego, and Jen.
What?
Hello.
Got hello.
And we got Shiloh.
Rather
Yep.
So, anyways, how I know Jen is my boss. She's our first person that we have on the show who is in a managerial position. And,
I like the way that sounds. Change it.
managerial.
Back up. Erase.
Sounds like Mangina.
Like a superior position.
Yes, she's in a power position. She's a
Power player.
She's a power player. This was hockey. She'd be the sixth man on the ice.
Pull the goalie.
So, anyways, she's
I don't speak hockey.
There you go.
neither do I, but
I only speak
think
hockey players.
Okay.
name one.
I can't.
Okay. So anyways, what I'm saying is, when I originally started the idea for the podcast, it was gonna be business minded, and so Jen was like the first person that I thought of because she's a manager and she has power to hire and fire. So that's why I'm kind of happy to have her on the show for the first time, because now
Kind of. You guys caught that, right? All right. Just make sure.
Have you ever fired somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately.
if you hear crunching or anything, it's because we're eating pizza.
Pizza.
From Domino's. We are not sponsored, but Domino's, if you're listening, we're totally down.
I mean, that new
dropping.
crust, though.
Dropping more names.
I'm dropping names every week, brother. So anyways, I understand. Okay, shut up. Listen. Shut up. Last time we did this, a couple complaints that it was a little too freeform and a little too informal. And the first one that we did that no one ever heard except Eric and Ryan and Dave, who you've met Ryan if you listened to the first episode of the podcast. You haven't met Dave. Anyways, long story short, Harrison was dumb, had the wrong software, recorded the whole thing in the wrong system, and it was all gone. But anyways, that first one was, I don't know, Eric, can you agree that was too formal?
I wouldn't necessarily was too formal, but it was like the first introductory one that was more of a Q&A. It wasn't like...
Yeah.
It wasn't an actual discussion.
Okay, and that's what I was trying to get at. It was more of a... Yeah, so I like the way you said that. It was more of a question and answer rather than a discussion. So I wanted to get it started that we're going to be doing more of a start out with just introductions, like friendly hellos and talkabouts of what the shit's been going on.
Hello.
And then, back at it again. Back at it again, Jen. And you said you didn't want any.
She just signaled that
grab it yourself and you're drinking out of the stupid thing.
I didn't ever said anything, actually. I just didn't say anything.
You're a true gentleman, Harrison. He did offer.
I just didn't reply.
Yeah. No, you don't get a cup anymore. You're drinking straight out of the bottle.
No.
Okay.
Not an animal. As I judgingly start pouring this and staring at you.
Guys, I'm getting fired this week. Anyways.
Taking the rest.
That's fine. There wasn't much left anyways.
Could have just drank out of the bottle.
Anyways, back to what we're talking about.
Back to what we were talking about is we're just talking. We're just hanging out for first couple minutes. Ryan, unfortunately, is not feeling well.
Loser.
And so he's not joining us today. But we do have Diego filling his shoes.
Yay!
Diego does have bigger feet, so Ryan, your shoes are kind of screwed.
It's not like bigger. I don't know what size shoes he wears. It's like wider though.
He wears like a 9.5, I think.
Oh my gosh! Oh, so do you, don't you?
Oh no.
He wears like a 7.5.
Yeah.
I'm an 8.5 in men's.
Oh. How does that feel?
These are 10.
She's also like a good almost 6 inches taller than I am, so.
She is the Amazon of the everyone. Anyways,
that's racist.
That is racist. Thank you, Diego.
I got your back.
I don't know, but being compared to Amazonian, then you're like Wonder Woman, so like...
Let's not break this down.
Which one would you rather take? Like, how would you rather take that? Like, Wonder Woman or just plain racist?
Both.
A racist
I'd take the Wonder Woman part,
I'd take the Wonder Woman, too. If I could be Wonder Woman, that'd be pretty badass.
Whatever ends this weird conversation that we're having, absolutely.
Well, buzzkill Betty.
Don't know how people work with whips. Says Wonder Woman has a whip, okay? That's like one of her primary weapons.
I know, but you said that.
It's a lasso. It's not a whip.
It's a lasso.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, huh? She's like
it's the lasso of truth, bro. Like, bring it on.
Oh my gosh.
Indiana Jones has a whip, okay?
As soon as you know who also had whips? Slave drivers during the Egyptians. Like,
wow, that escalated pretty quick.
That's immediately where you put my head. When you're just like, you know how it's gonna work with whips. I was just like,
with the sting of a whip on my trademark.
oh my goodness. That's good stuff. Jen, how do you feel about that?
Oh, sorry.
She completely zoned out. She's just here for the ride. She's just like, what?
I'm here for the free pizza.
She heard whips and she just...
Gone.
I know nothing about Wonder Woman.
You know nothing about
and
anything
fun.
female.
What? I got that part.
Did you get that from the Wonder or the woman?
The Wonder, oddly.
Yeah, you wondered if she was or not. Are you saying that wondering is something a woman does? Is that sexist?
Yes.
Okay.
Against your own people?
What do you mean?
Excuse me, her people? What is that supposed to mean?
Are you a woman?
Now that's racist.
No, that's sexist.
That's sexist.
And racist.
No. Oh my god.
It's just
my
'cause I'm
people.
brown.
My people.
Oh my goodness. That is... That.
Well, just to save you from this hole that's getting ever deeper, Harrison,
Really.
what's the topic?
I can go deeper.
That's why I said to save him from the hole that's getting deeper.
Let's go ahead and backtrack from this and go straight to the top.
I always have a shovel on hand to get myself deeper into a hole, which is a terrible thing. But anyways, the topic for the week was common sense. So I was thinking about it the other day, and I wanted to know, like, where this came from is I was talking with Ryan about 3 weeks ago.
Which one?
Not the Ryan you know yet. The Ryan that was on the podcast last week.
Oh.
So.
Loser.
And I was talking to him, and one thing that we were talking about is like, wow, man, that's just like common sense. And Ryan said he said, common sense really isn't that common anymore. And I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. And
Commonly.
it's really not. Like, how often do you see something or somebody in the workplace do something just completely idiotic?
Never.
Shut up. Like, it's just a constant thing where I feel that there should be common sense, or there should be like, wow, how did he not understand or see that? That's common sense. And it's just like, that really should be common sense, but it's not. And so that's basically what I'm going to talk about is, like, how often have you seen common sense, like, being misused, or, like, things where it should have been a common sense situation, but they just didn't have any sense, or people just in general who don't know what common sense is.
Yeah.
Like, anyways.
So how common is common sense?
Yes.
How often do you see common sense? How do we teach common sense? And can we bring it back into the workplace?
Yeah. Those are the exact questions that I wrote down, and Eric is reading off of the text
There we
message
go.
that I sent to him.
Very structured.
It was very structured, yeah. and then my mouth opened.
That soothing voice.
Eric.
We'll bring it back.
Alright.
So Ryan, I'll get us kicked off with something Ryan said earlier to me today. Ryan, and he, the first thing he was just like, well, ask me the question so I can start thinking about what it is that I want to talk about tonight. And I was like, well, how do we blah blah blah? And I read those questions to him, and Ryan just looks back at me. He's like, well, it starts with the schools. Public schooling doesn't teach us to have common sense. It doesn't teach us to think for ourselves. It teaches us how to take tests.
Let's go back further.
Ooh.
I would say it starts at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely starts at home. It's not up to the schools to teach it.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, critical thinking and things like that should be taught in the schools. Think through a problem different ways. And at home, but ultimately things fail at home.
She's also talking like away from
I
the
know,
mic.
she is
so-
talking away from
Hello.
That's better.
You have to be talking into the microphone, gentlemen.
So what I'm saying is...
Just facing the microphone in the general direction.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here.
How about move the table closer?
Let's do that, and then turn your head again, like it was. Now talk. Continue to talk.
Thank
No,
you.
Lean back. You're good. You're good.
I'm good.
Actually, yeah, remarkable.
By the
you
way,
are.
Harrison, I suck at sign language or anything like mouth movement.
You know, I'm the same way.
The biggest
Diego.
problem
I have
was
no
that I was
common sense on
trying to make motions to you, and everybody stopped talking to look at
I
me.
thought he wanted you to eat pizza.
I mean, I'm down for it. I'm down for
I think
round
you
7.
need another one. Come on.
7.
So, anyways, what I was saying before I was told you couldn't hear me, and
Yeah,
now
basically.
you can,
Yeah.
is the fact that it starts at home with parents.
Okay,
And
so
it's not up to the schools. Sure, that can help as Diego drops the mic because it's Diego.
There was no need to drop the mic, Diego.
Yeah, not
Boom.
right now.
Yeah, there's pizza.
It was
There's always reason for pizza. I'm just gonna take 2.
Please do.
you're gonna have to hold it from now.
No, I got this. Check this out.
Oh my god.
Multitask.
You got it. You
This
got
is-
it. Come on. You got it. Here we go. Give us an example of common sense.
As he has 2 pizzas of pizza stacked on each other, trying to eat both, and put his mic back up.
Continue this play-by-play, please.
Walk us through it, Jen.
And it kind of looks like a mouth in a way, like the way that the pieces are separating from each other as they're in his
Kind of
mouth.
like a duck.
A little bit.
Or a Pringles thing, you know?
A
And
Pringles
I,
thing, yeah.
I don't understand why I made the ugh sound because it's Domino's
You know,
pizza,
if
which
you
is
help
delicious.
this thing right here, this little thing, helps the whole thing move. This little
true.
doohickey bobby.
I'm good now, though.
Oh, now you're good. He got his pizza. He's good. So,
Yes.
anyways, back to starting common sense in the home. What? Okay, I know that you have a lot of common sense. I've worked with you now for like a year.
Yeah.
like, pretty closely for a year.
Let's not make this weird, but yes.
No, shut up. But, like you were my coach for a long time, and, like, I was constantly coming to you for help.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of the times, because you're my coach, I would ask you for personal help and so on and so forth. Because, anyways, we all have problems. But, you have a lot of sense. Where did you, like, how did your parents teach you common sense?
Honestly, I think part of it comes from being the middle child, watching my sister make mistakes, not having to make the same ones.
And without, like, delving into what those mistakes were, like, what do you mean?
My peers. Oh, just, testing out my parents, or, I don't know. She didn't do a lot of rebelling, but she's just not the brightest person in the world sometimes.
But you love her, right? This is being recorded, just so you know. Okay, anyways. Moving on.
Yes. I think it came from my dad and his work ethic and just hard work also.
Yeah. We talked on that forgotten podcast that we had. May you rest in peace. Eric and I were talking. We talked about work ethic and whatnot as well. I don't like. What did you? It's that thing that she said when you worked at Toyota.
Oh yeah.
It was something like that about the work ethic that I think can somehow tie into common sense because it's maybe I don't know.
Well, working at Toyota, that was when I had a boss who said, "Your job is your break from life."
Good advice.
So it should be a moment where you forget about everything else that's going to be waiting for you at the door as soon as you clock out. You should just kind of focus on what you're there to do. Just kind of make sure your job's done and done well.
I think where I was going to go with that is, I think so many times people take that to a little too extreme, and they're just like, well, I don't have to worry about anything, and then they just completely ignore all sense that they usually have. And they're just like, I think I love the show The Office, but Michael Scott is the worst boss in the world, and the only reason I've barely gotten through half of the first season recently. Like, this is my first time watching it, because when it came out years ago, I could not stand Michael Scott because he has no common sense. He is just an idiot.
Well, I think part of that comes from just being a selfish person that he is.
And it's also a comedy show
about
other
other
people,
which can also be viewed as not having common sense, where if he actually cared about what others, I don't know, around him, then it would be different.
So are you thinking that common sense is more on the base of being selfishness?
Yeah, I think it's partly social.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense. I think when I define common sense, I'm talking it, because it might be different how anybody else defines it, but for me it's something that is a basic human instinct, like something that you do that should be so basic as breathing. Like, that's to me what common sense is. For example, if you have what we were talking about the other day. There's that video going around Facebook of the Scottish guy. Like, which weighs more, a pound of feathers or a kilogram of feathers or a kilogram of steel? Steel's heavier.
Steel's heavier.
And he could not for the life of him understand 1 kilogram equals 1 kilogram. It doesn't matter what the object is, whatever. And that's what I think common sense is. What I'm getting down to it is being able to understand those two things.
I actually think common sense has kind of disappeared because nowadays everyone's so emotional about everything.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Like, everyone allows their emotions to rule every aspect of every interaction. So no one's thinking logically anymore. Everyone's just thinking, oh, that hurt my feelings. Now I'm outraged. So it's like no one's slowing down to think logically. They're just thinking with, how good or how bad does this make me feel?
Which entitles them to act out.
Yeah.
Ugh. And that brings up...
Because someone did this to me, now I can be this way too.
Yeah.
It's like you're just as much a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like being that petty about it. And, oh, that's annoying. It also makes me think of, like, how often we, like, read in, like, the news and all this stuff about something that happens, and then instead of people taking... I mean, I can guarantee everybody has that one person on their Facebook page right now who, and even everybody listening right now has that person who they read an article and they read the title and that's it. Then they go off. They go crazy about it. And like, would that be kind of what you're saying? Like, people will take things offensive. Like, they'll be like, oh, I'm offended at this. And they think, well, this gives me right to talk about it, and you have to respect my decision because I was offended.
Well, that, but even more as just everyone's just so worried about feelings now. Like, it's not just, like, it's good to be worried about someone else's feelings, but that shouldn't be the driving factor in everything that you do. You should be able to look at something, think logically about it, and, understand what's going to work best. Even if it does hurt a few feelings, like, it's like, well, this is how it's going to work. This is the best way for things to run. And you just kind of have to be more open-minded in that aspect rather than letting your sadness or whatever get in the way of making a smart decision.
Okay.
I wonder if it's the emotional intelligence of the newer generation, won't name names, but...
Are you saying us, Jem?
Yeah. You guys are fine, though, otherwise I wouldn't be, like, here at all.
I'm super fine.
We've already noted that. Diego, let me just say, is super fine, okay?
Yeah.
So...
Okay, wait. Before we go any further, I have to share this story. Before anybody got here, I was like, okay, Diego, I'm going to go run pizza. You just let me turn the computer on for you. And he was like, I'm pretty sure I can do it. How you doing, sexy? and I was done. I just couldn't handle it, and I left. Anyways.
You got the computer on.
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
Yep.
But, I'm sorry, I just kind of ruined the whole process.
Anyways, emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Emotional intelligence, common sense. Anything?
She can have a little piece of pizza.
Okay, cool. Because she's going cray.
Well, I mean, it smells good, of course.
It does smell good.
I usually give her a little piece of crust.
Oh, okay. Come on.
We're talking about Diego. Good Diego.
I'll finish the rest of that.
But I just don't think that we've taught our kids emotional intelligence, the social aspect. I mean, technology obviously plays a huge role in that.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't know which battles to pick or, I don't know, how to react.
Yeah, and
Take, for example,
okay,
people holding, like, the walk-ins or sit-ins or whatever in the middle of a freeway.
Oh my gosh.
Common sense would tell you, don't try and shut down a major roadway by just standing there.
Yeah.
But people are so emotionally involved in whatever cause they're in that they're walking out in front of traffic and getting hit by cars.
I mean, less people we have to deal with.
Like,
I kind of get excited.
I promise you, if Ryan was here right now, he would say this. Well, natural selection.
Yeah, no, it's sad because I see that on, like, Facebook, and I was like, okay, and I'm watching it solely for the fact of somebody to get run over, and I start to feel like a bad person. I judge my morality. It's like, oh.
I honestly feel like sometimes when you see that stuff, and you're just like, I kind of want to see somebody get hit. Like, do you feel like that makes, like, Hunger Games just, like, coming right around the corner when you're, like, seeing it, and you're just like, maybe I'll watch this a little longer. Like, I feel like that's, like, straight up Hunger Games of just, like, watching people kill each other. But anyways, that's way off topic. But yeah, common sense would say don't stand in the middle of the street, but people do it because they think that their cause is so great that it's going to stop a car.
Yeah.
Guess what, guys? It's not.
You heard it right here.
Yeah. Just let me know.
Just think of the future cars that are stopping because of people in the way. I mean, it's great that that's going to provide or protect people and everything when accidents do happen, but stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
you're just trying to press the pedal to try to make your car go.
But still, let me tell you this right now. Even with like the automatic stopping that cars have, they sense bigger cars. They sense cars, not pedestrians very well.
Unless it's me.
Okay. And but the point is, you're gonna drop it. You're gonna drop the mic one more time.
I'm not. Check this out. Because I touch it in the back. And then
Don't say
What?
that. Don't. Oh,
put pressure
Phrasing?
stop it.
right there.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Pizza.
But anyways, like the thing about those cars is the automatic stopping that they have. Mm-hmm. It senses a vehicle in front of it, and it senses that they're slowing down, and it slows down to them. The likelihood of it sensing a person and then being able to come to a complete stop, because it senses other cars that are already moving and just slowing down. For it to come to a complete stop, like cars to come to a complete stop, like with the best tires, it still takes them like 110 feet. From like 60 miles per hour.
Speed, yeah.
Yeah, at freeway speed, 60 miles per hour, whereas actually here in Utah, it's 70 is the speed limit, yet everybody's going 80, which means 80, right? But you still get pulled over for going 80. But the fact is, even like a Tesla, I don't know how it's pronounced.
Tesla.
Nicola.
No.
I was going to say,
the car that Elon Musk makes, like for that to come to a complete stop, might be really a far distance. I haven't done the research on it right now, but like I know that a couple years ago, like a Mustang GTR or GT that had like Pirelli tires, 315s, 40 20s, really big tires, really sticky
common
tires.
Common sense is great.
They will stop in about 110 feet from 60 to 0.
Pizza.
It's not gonna stop, and like a person's not gonna be saved because of that, because of the automatic thing. So it's like, yeah, it's like great that the cars have all this technology that's coming out, but common sense still says a car is bigger than you. Get out of the way.
That's true.
You're not supposed to walk on a freeway anyway.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. That's what we're talking about.
Common sense does, but
common sense does, but is common sense even a thing?
Emotions do not say that.
Nope.
Yeah, common sense, and that's the thing. Like, common sense isn't a thing that's common anymore. Which kind of pisses me off.
There's some good aspects to it, like the fail videos are kind of hilarious.
Those are, yeah,
those are all filled with people that don't have common sense.
Yeah, and
it's kind of entertaining.
Actually, that's actually a perfect example of what common sense isn't, or like people who don't have common sense, and it's like that guy. There's a guy. He was on. He does his own little stunt videos, kind of like the Jackass series. And then he met Steve-O, and Steve-O was just like, he's gonna jump over this thing, and he's gonna jump into all these cacti.
Oh, the big fat guy.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, it's gonna be funny.
And they gave him like 3 feet of a starting ramp to clear like 21 feet of cactus. And it's awful.
You don't need to.
It's dumb.
It's exactly as stupid as you think it would be.
So he cleared it, yeah?
No.
Oh.
Fat dude landed all over the cactus.
Yeah, he was a foot.
There were like cactus needles a good 2 inches like into his skin. Like it was gross.
But he knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
And that's the thing, like, because of the lack of common sense nowadays, guys can do dumb shit like that and become famous for it. Like, how, like,
well, think about the whole Cash Me Outside stuff.
Oh,
like
how about that?
Literally talked about that today.
How about
like,
that?
Because Brandon did not know what it was. I said it to her, she just looked at me blankly.
That's a good thing, though. That's a good thing she doesn't know what that is.
Oh gosh, that girl.
But, like, it's
because we make people like that who have no common sense
or talent.
Famous.
Yeah, and like I mean, it's very rare that you hear in the media of a good person, like somebody who has talent or common sense, become famous. Like, I I remember I was talking to you about it a couple of weeks ago of that homeless guy who had a great radio voice, and now he's like, didn't you say he's like the spokesperson for Kraft cheese now?
He was for a while. I don't know if he still is, but yeah.
But still, it's like, and that's the thing. Like, he was, like, it was like, whoa, this is cool, this is crazy. It was cool for about, like, a month. And then it's just like, oh, we don't care anymore.
Died or went away.
Let's find new stuff. And then we get stupid people, like, catch me outside, girl.
Don't care to know her name.
I don't know. Sometimes I use common sense to kind of throw it away just to make people laugh. I mean, I kind of fall under that. Like, I'm a guy who uses common sense to gain socialarity points or whatever, especially in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Socialarity. Look
Socialarity.
We make up words here, okay?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a real thing now. But yeah, with that, it's just like as far as that also helped me a lot
too loudly,
with being in high school because suffered a lot of depression as most kids do and everything, and so being stupid and taking away my common sense, like I know exactly what this is and what I'm doing, but also the opposite to get some laughs, and when people laugh, I get happy, and so sometimes it's kind of a common sense, like I throw it away so I can make myself happy. It's kind of selfish. There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
Hashtag selfish.
Which is interesting.
Selfishness.
The interesting thing is, though, you have common sense, but you put it aside to make people happy, which is because those fail videos make people laugh, and you're doing it to make people laugh. You're not doing it because you don't actually have it. You're doing it. You have it, but in certain situations, you are willing to say, "I'm going to put my common sense to the side to be able to make this person happy."
And I feel like there's a lot of people like that out there.
And I think there is too, but there's also a lot of the other people who walk on a freeway and.
Well, since we've outlined a ton of people not using common sense, how often do you see it actually being used? I mean, we have a lot of
bad examples.
We have a lot of bad examples of it, but I mean,
it's kind of rare, especially when we work in a call center. Or I used to, but we all worked in the call center where we talk to people about credit cards. It's rare that somebody's like, "Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. You're right."
Right.
And it's just like you kind of take a step back because like 98% of the people you talk to are just like, "But that."
How about this one? Here's a good example of common sense. It's signing up for something and reading the agreements. My sister is, I freaking love my sisters. The sister that I'm talking about, currently pregnant. She's about to have her second child. Her first daughter is darling. I've never used that word before. She's adorable.
Darling.
But she told me one time she was at like a auto body place or something like that, and where she needed to get her car worked on, and they gave her the here's the disclosure, can you read this and sign it and read and agree, blah blah blah. And she took a clipboard, she went down, she sat down, and they were like, "Are you gonna sign it and give it back to us?" She was like, "No, I am reading what I am signing to. I am not going to agree to something that I don't know what it says." Like,
and that happens a lot too. Is like, I've had that where it's like, "Hey, read through this, sign it," and then as soon as you start reading it and actually like looking into it, people are like, "Are you done?" It's like, no. I'm taking some time here, but
yeah.
So I mean, I think part of that too had to be with technology, where it's like, agree to the terms and conditions for Apple, where it's 20 million pages long.
We've all seen that South
and it's
episode,
like,
right?
like,
what?
I don't know. It's just
South Park. Sorry.
Again, just comes back to like, that emotion of like gratification, just being done, getting whatever you want as quickly as possible, so you can feel good. But I mean, I see, like, for me, I mean, luckily my family has been like really good at instilling common sense in me. But like my older sister, one of the smartest people I know, she like graduated high school with a medical assisting certification, went right into a job like essentially as a nurse, but a medical assistant as like the name, whatever. But went into that job forever, and is now going into nursing, about to finish nursing school. But like to her, it was like taking the years of experience as that medical assistant and just using common sense to be like, hey, I'm doing everything that a nurse would do. It would be dumb to not go and get this degree so I can get paid more money to do the exact same thing. So it's like just finding those moments to be like, you know what, yeah, it would make a lot of sense to actually do this rather than just being complacent and comfortable, and even though you have a good thing going, pushing yourself to be a little bit uncomfortable to make a smarter decision.
I think that I like that you used pushing yourself to be uncomfortable. One of my biggest pet peeves is people who get so comfortable in everything that they do that they are terrified to go out of their comfort zone. It happened this last weekend. I was out with a bunch of friends at the bar. We were up in Salt Lake at a bar. I know, hypocrisy and whatnot. It's Salt Lake, but
next to the temple.
Did you go to the Tabernacle?
The Tavern.
It's probably like one of my favorite names of a bar in Utah ever.
No, we actually went to a bar named Sue.
Okay.
And
all right,
it's really weird, but it was fun. But the thing that made me mad was one of my friends. I love him to death. Don't get me wrong; he's a great guy, but he's been rejected so many times by girls that he's just like, well, this is where I'm gonna live. This is how it is. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Go, like, there's a girl over there. Go talk to her. She's alone at the bar. She's sitting there alone by herself. Which, I mean, most people, if you want to drink, you're not going to go to a bar and sit alone and expect no one to talk to you. Like, well, come on. A bar is a social place where you go. You wouldn't go to a social place unless you want to be antisocial. So, anyways, but he was so afraid. He was so afraid because of his
basically being rejected.
Yeah, where his comfort zone.
Yeah,
he was in his comfort zone for too long that he just couldn't do it, and that's a different topic for another time. But
I think that happens from time to time in people's lives.
all the time.
It's just like a phase we go through.
Yeah.
Until they're forced to make a change, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but I guess.
What was that? We bought a zoo, and there's like, you have 11 seconds to be bold, and it can, I don't know. It was really, or was it 7 seconds? I don't know. But he's, basically what he said, his wife told him, or I don't know who told him. Anyways, he said 7 seconds to just have complete, utter bravery.
I think it's the 10 seconds of courage or something like that.
There we go. Yep, that was around there.
In some odd seconds.
Yeah, some odd seconds
Yeah,
to just do it. And I actually have applied that to my life. I've only seen like that clip. I haven't seen the whole movie. But
Not missing out.
Wow, it's 20 seconds. Well, we
20 seconds
found
of
out
courage.
for you.
All right.
Figured it out.
That was
Sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage.
There you
Literally 20 seconds of just embarrassing bravery, and I promise you something great will come of it.
Did she make that quote last 20 seconds while she said it? Because I think that'd be really ironic. It's like,
Well,
it
your
takes
time's up.
20 seconds of insane bravery. It's like, was that the 20 seconds? Because you were talking the whole time. Anyways,
Time's up.
and you're done. But, anyways. What were those questions again, Eric?
Whoa. I'm the only one who's brought up how I've seen common sense used, so...
True. No, I did. With my sister who reads the terms and
Oh, yeah,
agreements.
that too.
That's...
I can give plenty of times where people don't, because I worked in financial aid.
I know, but we're looking at good things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jen's
Well,
like,
Jen.
nah, I don't have it. Nah, I can't see it. Never seen it.
No, I've had it with, like, bosses and things like that.
Like
Okay.
what?
Examples. Let's hear it.
A boss that I worked with had common sense.
Okay,
No,
how about
I'm totally kidding.
I was gonna say you're never coming back.
What I like is just being able to like brainstorm and think through a problem. Come up with, I mean, there's not always one way of doing things. Coming up with the best solution, talking through those things, and sometimes that takes not just you doing it, but a couple of people. So when I've had supervisors like that, it's helped me to think more commonly, more often.
Okay, well, in like a position of power, how would you teach common sense to like people below you?
Your underlings.
By example, I would say thinking out loud through things and helping them think through it. My favorite thing to ask is, what would you do with this? Like, what's your thought process? How would you handle this differently if it's something that maybe you didn't like? Just more critically thinking, I think, plays a role with that.
Okay. Which I think that's one of the best like ways to teach something, which comes into that question of, can we teach common sense?
Yeah.
Which a lot of times I think, like, I'm like, well, no, you can't teach somebody common sense. It's something that you're born with, which is completely asinine. That's completely wrong.
Well, there's multiple things. There's environmental, there's your upbringing. We've already established that.
Right.
Some people are just naturally a little bit more like on the book smart side of things and don't really have the social aspect, whether their parents tried or not.
So that's a good. Sorry to cut you off, but that's a great question. Is common sense a street smarts kind of thing, or is it a book smarts kind of thing?
And I mean, I could say that about my sister. I don't think she'll ever listen to this, so we can totally talk about her.
Good.
But she, I don't know. She was one of those that did really well in school, but didn't have a lot of friends and just socially, I don't know, just not there. She would do things, and I'm just like, why? And I'm trying to think of it at a time, and maybe I'll come up with one here in a minute. But then I would get a little bit further sometimes than she would on either like in a job or whatever it was in life. And that was because I was more of the social aspect of things, networking, getting to know people, that took me further than the streets or the book smarts. Yeah, that gets you through school, it gets you a degree, right? But how it ends there.
Yeah. But I was talking to somebody the other day about how you can write down who you are on a piece of paper and all your accomplishments on a resume, and you might look amazing.
Yes.
But you interview
Gosh.
terribly.
Yeah.
And
or
you've probably seen that all the time.
Yes. So yeah, and I didn't get a degree. I got a cosmetology license, and I couldn't sit through school. It was hard for me. I don't know if it was the ADT or what it was, but just sitting there reading a book, writing a report, whatever it was not my thing. I was more about the hands-on doing it, just going out, getting a job, that kind of thing, and working with experience. So I would get overlooked multiple times for jobs because I didn't have that degree. I didn't have those types of qualifications, but I have the experience. Mm-hmm. So it's always frustrating for me. It still is. But once I can get in and I go interview, I almost always get the job offer.
Same.
Because then they see that and they're like, oh, okay, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. So.
I also think of like another thing. Sorry.
No, go for it.
But with common sense, for me, it's kind of just thinking things, not like don't overthink things, kind of make it simple as well. Mm-hmm. Because when I teach people the Rubik's Cube, the first layer is, a lot of it was what you have to think of. The rest is just muscle memory of reteaching and everything like that. But a lot of the times I would have the people I teach have one piece on the bottom and I have to go to the top. What I know is all you have to do is flip it 180. But they're trying to overthink things and trying to go over there. And then I was like, here, I'll show you. And I put it back back in its position, and I just flip it, and you see their cogs like click, and it's just mind blown. When it was literally just
They're what now?
a twist of my hand.
They're mind blown.
No, before that.
They're cogs.
Okay.
In their head.
Good.
Cogs, like gears.
Company, it's like an enormous clock.
All
All the different cogs mesh together.
Pixar, if you're listening, we love you.
They're not.
But
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
By the way, the only way that I could get Jen to come on this podcast, she was like, I don't know, like, I'm just, like, worried if, like, anybody listens to it and, like, they know me. And I'm like, Jen, one of two things.
A big deal.
One of two things is here. First, no one's going to listen to it. Second, no one's going to listen to it. And she was like, oh, okay, I'll be there.
But sadly, I didn't get it till the third thing, which was the same thing. No one's going to listen to it. And then now, it clicked for me.
Yeah, and now
and
everyone who's listening, please share this to smush this in her face.
Oh, gosh.
So, let her sister hear it.
To go...
Let's reach it out.
You're going to get a call in like 2 weeks, just like, Jen?
She knows where she stands.
Below you?
Well, yeah.
Apparently.
She's tier 2. You're tier 1. Right?
If tier 1's better than tier 2, absolutely.
Yeah, usually.
Depends.
So, back to... Okay, so you brought up the thought of critical thinking questions, and Diego brought up another thought of when he teaches people the Rubik's Cube. And so my question of, can you teach common sense? You actually... Now, like, this is my first time realizing it. Yeah, you can. But it comes... It's not in you actually teaching them. It's not you sitting them down and being like, oh, read this book. Read this book on common sense. Common Sense for Dummies or anything like that. It's asking the right questions at the right time. Being able to say, well, what do you think? And like that was my favorite question to ask people, is to get them... When I was in a leadership position, I would take a second and I would look at them and I just look at the person I was working with, and I would look at them and I'd be like, okay, we've been together for a couple months, we've been working together for a couple months. What do you think? And they would always do one of two things. They would look at me with what is he asking? What does he want to do? Like, that would be their first thought of, what does he want me to do? And I would be like, I don't want you to do what I want you to do. I want you to think of something yourself. Think of something that works. Think about what we've been doing for the past couple months. And then tell me your answer. You usually take a couple minutes, but then they'd come up with something. They'd come up with something their own. Which, in my... After I'm thinking about it, that's kind of how common sense works. Is being able to think up something on your own that works, that makes sense, and it makes people, like, doesn't affect.
It's beneficial.
It's beneficial, thank you. And that's the weirdest thing that I've been thinking about this just within this last couple minutes.
Well, I think there you could tie in Ryan's comment in, schools.
Sorry.
not teaching, that critical thinking. It's essentially just give you a whole bunch of information and then you regurgitate it, and that's about it. So, like, when you would ask those people, like, what do you think? Their first instinct is, what has he told me before? What has already been, like, said to me? What do I say now? And so that's where you do need to take the time to be like, no, not everything we've told you, just for yourself. Like, what do you think?
Right.
And so it's, again, putting people in those uncomfortable situations that they're not used to, or like Diego, leading by example, just showing them the simplicity of something and letting their brain figure it out there.
Yeah. And that's the craziest thing about common sense is it can become common again. It just takes the right people to be able, those right people in a leadership position to be able to make something happen.
I think the people that don't have it, and if you're one of them and you're listening, because we have a lot of listeners, go ahead and put yourself out in oncoming traffic. And then we can make it more common, right? Because then those ones aren't around. No? Missed the point?
Please, no, just put the brakes on really
just
quick.
go right now. Go outside. Go to the nearest street that's the busiest. Stand there.
You're kind of the devil. You should probably
Now wait. But don't stand up. No. Sit down. Lay down if you'd like. Take a nap. It's fine. It'll all be over soon.
You're the opposite of Oprah.
You're gonna die. You're gonna die.
Yes.
You're white and horrible. Like,
I'm really tall.
All true. Also true. You are the opposite of Oprah. You're Harpo.
Not 300 pounds.
Whoa. Personal attacks.
Oh, well, Oprah goes back and forth. I don't know where she's at now.
She
Being
fluctuates.
fat a bad thing?
No, Diego does it well.
Pizza.
You're right. I haven't had one in a minute.
Shiny.
Well, if you kind of think about it, you've never seen like really one protester stand out in the middle of a street. You just see like a multitude of them. Because I feel like if you had one, they have the common sense not to go out there. Like, duh. But if you build up a whole bunch of people that have somewhat of like just a little bit of not common sense, and it just feeds off each other and everything, and then you have a whole group standing out there instead of one loser. Yeah. Now you have a whole bunch of losers.
But don't take your friends. Just go out by yourself.
Or take your friends, whatever.
Or take your friend. Yeah, I mean.
Take your friends that can't think through things as well.
Yeah. But if you are on the opposite side, where you actually have common sense...
Go find those people in the street. Bring them back.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Let natural selection play its part.
We could do without them.
But what I was getting at is that with those people that have common sense, do what you can to help your peers. Help your peers grow and learn. I think we have too many people who are... I don't know if this is... But we have a lot of people nowadays that we hear about all the time. In the news, we always... the news is always keep us under in fear, right? We have things that keep us in fear, and we have too many people who are accidentally dying or committing suicide or doing all these things because they don't have friends, or I don't know. That sounds really harsh, but there's too many negative things because common sense isn't around enough. And there needs to be those people that are just common. They have the common decency to share their sense with others and give other people that opportunity to grow. I think that's the best thing. If you've ever been able to help somebody learn something and see them grow in any facet of your life, that is one of the best feelings.
It is.
Ever.
Can't say that I've done that, but it is. Just kidding, JK.
JK, she's never seen it. No, she has. She puts herself down because she thinks that she's dumb. But we agree. The point...
Diego loves me. That's all that matters.
What I was going to say is I didn't have common sense when I first started it at my position.
He still doesn't.
I'm gonna...
7.
Shut up, we're not at work. The thing was, when I started, she was just like, Harrison, you have no personality when you're taking a phone call. You completely lose everything that makes you, you. And after she said that, it took me about 3 days to be able to figure out, oh, crap, what do I do to change this? And now, a year later, after that first time, I'm going to tell you something I'm going to say something that she told me that I'm not supposed to tell, because she was just like, oh, don't tell anybody this. But nobody on my team listens but Eric, and he doesn't even listen to it afterwards.
I'm a little worried right now.
She said, when I am feeling bad and I'm just tired of listening to all these different calls, I'll listen to yours or another person's.
Diego's.
To just listen to it, because I know it's easy to listen to. It's not hard to listen to. You know what you're doing, and sometimes it's really fun to listen to. I don't know if she said really. Yeah, she never. I sang "Happy Birthday" to somebody one time.
I've done that too.
And but the thing was, that's a change. She saw a change in somebody that she originally helped. Jen, how did it make you feel?
Like really good.
Shut up and be serious, you will. You're the devil.
No, of course. I mean, that's... I used to work in the training aspect, and I saw that probably a lot more than I do now, because I feel like I have a group of people I work with that get it and they understand what to do on a daily basis, and the worst thing that they do is just get kind of the same thing over and over, and got to shake them out of that. But other than that, you don't really see a whole lot like you did in training. So, yeah. I mean, that was really rewarding. I probably enjoyed that the most. I like what I do now, but
Except Tuesdays.
you saw that frequently. I mean, Tuesdays, meeting days. No one wants to sit in a conference room most of the day.
Diego does.
You do nothing and listen.
That's
like
like for me the most painful thing because you have to sit there quietly
Yeah.
and try not to interrupt the meeting, which is really hard for me.
Diego.
That was 12 years of our lives. Like, school is kind of still recent to me, where you just sit down and shut up and
It's
listen.
actually 13.
Yeah, no, but kindergarten doesn't count.
Sure it does.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, that's learning how to color between the lines.
That's
Yeah.
learning how to
That's
deal with
learning how
other
to.
people.
That's learning how to.
How to share, how to care.
No. It's learning how to put your imagination and your creativity into a box and then throwing that box away and
For
doing
me,
what everybody in the world tells
It's
you.
where
to
I
do.
learned how to ride a tricycle.
Think outside the box.
And then you get out. Then you graduate high school and there's like, all right, people, think outside the box. And you're like, you taught me how to not do
We
that.
just crammed everything in that box.
I lost the box. What do
I put it away with those stupid macaroni things you guys made me make. Did anybody else have to do that stupid macaroni day? It was like
Yeah.
macaroni and glue. He's like, Mom, I made you this.
Oh, we
Yay."
made a necklace and we whipped other children.
Oh, that got serious.
So that's where your whole whip thing came from earlier.
Yeah, and then we named it afterwards.
I was waiting for that. Because first you whip and then you nay-nay.
You can.
Oh gosh.
So,
Well.
last question.
Do the Superman.
Yeah, we'll just bring your common sense back to the
Okay.
workplace, which
I
we
think
kind
I
of
don't know
covered
what
with 803.
time it is. So we've been going for a good solid hour now, and
It's been real.
old lady Jen has to go to bed.
OMG. This
We're
tired.
Warm up some milk for you. If you want.
Gonna
I'm
go
not
put
a
a-
kindergartner. I don't need a carpet
Old
square.
people do that.
Yeah, old people drink warm milk
Really?
when they
Yeah,
put their
my-
moo on, and then they go to bed.
Moo-moos are fabulous, though. Let's not bash on moo-moos.
She's almost there.
Not almost
Coming
there.
gradually.
What?
She's there.
Yeah.
She's old.
I have this, like, Lucky Brand type of moo-moo that's, like, shorter, so it's not long. The long moo-moos, I think it's pretty cute.
What does your husband think?
He
Tell
just
me what your husband thinks about it.
thinks it's cute because they're shorter.
Does he think it's cute because you tell him it's cute, or
Anything I do is cute.
done? Anyways, thanks everybody for listening.
On that note.
On that note, on that horrifying image,
Speaking of a horrifying image, real quick.
Yes.
Of Jen, and I was just thinking of the white
of
Oprah.
Jen.
Of the White Oprah.
Of the white Oprah. Because I could see her, like, on the side of the freeway. Sorry, I just had this picture in my head for the last, like, 20
Okay,
minutes.
let's play this out.
On the side of the freeway, and there's a protester. She's like, "You get a car," and then you get a car.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
pickup truck. Didn't see that one coming.
That got two. The opposite of Oprah. The Jen.
The anti-Oprah.
The anti-Oprah. She's. Anyways, on
Oh
that
my gosh.
on that notice, we're gonna end this week's podcast there. Next podcast is gonna be in 2 weeks from today. I don't know from today, but it's within 2 weeks from.
Mark your calendars, people.
Yeah, peeps. But anyways,
It's gonna get real.
we still got to figure out a send off and like a whole like intro.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe,
Click the link
share this
below.
with your friends. Pizza. Anyways, thanks,
Anti-Oprah.
thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great night.
Pause.
It takes so long. I'm sorry.